AITA for telling my husband's dad and dad's wife that I will not change our daughter's name because it hurts the wife's feelings? I, 27F, have been married to my husband, 29M, for a couple of years now, but we've known each other since college. When I met him, I knew right away that family was a sensitive topic for him. He didn't talk much about his dad, my FIL, or his dad's wife, Sharon, and it was clear early on that their relationship wasn't close. Over time, he opened up about why, and honestly, it's a lot to take in. My husband's mom, my late MIL, passed away when he was only 8 years old. Before that, his parents had divorced when he was just 2. 2 years after the divorce, FIL remarried Sharon, and from what I've been told, MIL and Sharon didn't get along. And by didn't get along, I mean they really didn't like each other. Sharon claims that my MIL made her life miserable. She says MIL laughed at her pain, wished her dead, and even tried to have CPS take custody of my husband to remove Sharon from his life. According to Sharon, MIL was manipulative and cruel, and her hatred for Sharon was obsessive. At first, I believed Sharon's version of events because she told it with so much emotion. But then I got to know my husband's extended family, FIL's own siblings, and they painted a different picture. They admitted that MIL wasn't thrilled about Sharon being in the picture, but they said Sharon's story was dramatically exaggerated. They described it more as a mutual dislike than a one-sided vendetta. Whatever the truth was, Sharon has clearly carried this bitterness for decades. Even after MIL passed, Sharon couldn't let it go. She talks about my MIL as if she's still competing with her, even though MIL has been gone for over 20 years. When my MIL passed away, my husband was just a little boy. He was heartbroken, and from what he's told me, he clung to her memory like a lifeline. He didn't want to lose even the smallest connection to her. So when FIL and Sharon announced they were planning to attend the funeral, my husband, who was only 8 at the time, completely freaked out. He begged them not to come. He said their presence would feel disrespectful, like an invasion of something sacred. When they refused to back down, he threatened to run away. He said if they showed up, he'd disappear until he was placed with other family members. Eventually, they gave in and didn't attend. FIL and Sharon have since claimed that my husband hates them for staying away, but he's told me the exact opposite. To this day, he says that keeping them from the funeral was one of the few times he felt like he had any control over his grief. He doesn't regret it at all. By the time I met my husband, his relationship with FIL and Sharon was practically non-existent. He kept them at arm's length, and it was clear that this was a choice he'd made for his own peace of mind. Sharon, however, has never accepted this distance. She insists on calling my husband her son, even though he's never called her anything but Sharon. She even introduced herself to me as his mom when we first met, and she looked genuinely shocked when I corrected her. I told her I already knew she wasn't his mom, thanks to my husband, and she seemed almost offended that I wasn't buying her version of history. For context, my husband is much closer to his extended family, his aunts, uncles, and cousins, than he is to FIL and Sharon. He's built strong bonds with them, and they've been far more supportive and present in his life. FIL and Sharon, on the other hand, are more like distant acquaintances he tolerates out of obligation. Now, let's fast forward to the birth of our daughter. My husband and I welcomed her into the world a few weeks ago, and she's absolutely perfect. When we were deciding on names, it didn't take long for us to settle on one that felt right. We named her after my husband's late mom. It was a way to honor her memory and keep her spirit alive in our family. My husband was deeply moved by the idea, and I could tell it meant the world to him. We announced her birth and her name on social media, and that's how FIL and Sharon found out. My husband didn't tell them directly because, well, they're not exactly involved in our lives. But as soon as they saw the name, they completely lost it. They tried calling and texting my husband, but he ignored them. He doesn't see the point in engaging with their drama. So instead, they decided to ambush me. A few days ago, I was at the mall with my newborn daughter when FIL and Sharon showed up out of nowhere. I was shocked to see them, especially since we hadn't told them where we'd be. They must have been keeping tabs on us through social media or something, which feels a little creepy, but I digress. Sharon wasted no time making it about her. She started by saying she'd seen the name we chose and that it was deeply hurtful to her. She said naming our daughter after MIL was like reopening old wounds and accused us of using our baby to deliberately hurt her feelings. I was standing there, holding my newborn, completely dumbfounded. I didn't even know how to respond at first. Then Sharon dropped the real bomb. She demanded that we change our daughter's name. She said it was only fair to name the baby after her instead, since Sharon has been here all this time while MIL hasn't. She kept going on and on about how she's the one who stepped up and how she deserved this recognition more than MIL did. At that point, I'd had enough. I told her, as calmly as I could, that we were not changing our daughter's name. I said her feelings weren't a factor in our decision-making and that this wasn't about her. This was about honoring my husband's mom and the legacy she left behind. I made it clear that we weren't interested in revisiting decades-old grudges, especially not when it came to our child. I didn't want to escalate things further. so I left before she could say anything else. But apparently, that wasn't the end of it. Since the confrontation, FIL and Sharon have been blowing up our phones with texts and calls. They're calling me rude, disrespectful, and even disgusting for dismissing Sharon's feelings. They're accusing me of being insensitive and deliberately stirring up old drama. FIL has even chimed in, saying that I've disrespected the woman who stepped up to be a mother figure when MIL wasn't there. My husband, bless him, has been my rock through all of this. He's 100% on my side and has been dealing with most of the messages, so I don't have to. He thinks Sharon's behavior is just more proof of why he's kept his distance all these years. Still, part of me wonders if I handled the situation the right way. Should I have been more empathetic, even if Sharon's feelings are my responsibility? Or was I justified in standing my ground? So, Reddit, AITA?